Today we're going to be going through some of the new and noteworthy books that are coming out in May, and we're going to be specifically focusing on fantasy, sci-fi, and romantasy. Hello bookish besties, and welcome back to my channel. Like I said, we're going to be going through about 10 of the most new and noteworthy books in May that are fantasy, romantasy, and one that's a little bit of sci-fi, and I'm really excited to share these with you. 3 of them I actually bought already, and the other ones I'm either really anticipating buying throughout the month, or I'm really intrigued to get to them at some point in time. We're gonna start with what people are calling the new Divergent, and that is our one and only sci-fi one we're gonna be talking about. More dystopian than sci-fi, but that is Silver Elite by Dani Francis. This just came out on May 6th, and I ran to the store to get it. I'm so very excited. Like I said, people are calling this the new Divergent, and it says, "My name is Ren Darlington. I've been hiding who I am my entire life. Today will be no different." And it has gorgeous silver sprayed edges. So it says, in the first book of a sizzling dystopian romance series, psychic gifts are a death sentence and there are rules to survival. Trust no one, lie to everyone, and whatever you do, don't fall for your greatest enemy. So she is what this book calls a mod, and I think she's like genetically modified or modified in some way where she has psychic powers, and that is apparently a death sentence, and she winds up in the hands of the enemy, and she has to join this really elite training program. Again, these are her enemies, so it's really dangerous what she's doing. And then her commanding officer is Cross Redden, and I think they're basically going to be aiding in this rebellion of sorts against, I'm thinking, the people that probably don't like the mods or whoever is in charge of the society right now. So I'm very excited. It's definitely giving Divergent kind of like Hunger Games dystopian vibes. On to another beautiful book. This one is a little bit more historical fiction, but there's ancient magic in it, and I believe there might be sirens. I'm not sure. The Amalfi Curse by Sarah Penner, and I read The Lost Apothecary by her, which was also more of a historical fiction, kind of like women's literary fiction, but it also had a lot of like magic in it, which is really fun, and I really like that kind of mashup. So I'd say this one's maybe more of a historical fantasy slash fiction. This has really pretty sprayed edges as well, and then it has really fun art where this woman's reaching to the sea. So it says, "Powerful witchcraft, a hunt for sunken treasure, forbidden love on the high seas, beware the Amalfi Curse." So this woman, her name is Haven Ambrose, and she is a nautical archaeologist, which is so much fun. I always said in another life, if I wasn't like a scientist or doing what I'm doing right now, I would be some kind of like archaeologist or historian or something, because I always think of the vibes of like The Mummy, where they're like digging on a site, and I am obsessed with that. And then you add in the sea, and that's so much fun. She's basically giving like siren vibes or like mermaid vibes. So as she's searching for this like treasure that her father said he saw, she begins to unravel this like ancient mystery of like a woman using sorcery to save her lover. So she's basically just unraveling this Amalfi Curse that this woman, I think, put on the Amalfi coast because she had to save her lover. So I'm very excited. Again, a little bit more historical fiction, but there is that vibe of like magic in there, so that's kind of why I'm painting it as a little more fantasy fantastical. So I'm very excited for this one. Again, I loved The Lost Apothecary by her, so I'm really excited to experience her writing again. Another one that is being highly talked about right now that is kind of up there with Silver Elite, like I was saying, and is really popular on BookTok, Bookstagram, everywhere, that is Shield of Sparrows by Devney Perry. So on the back it says, "Being the sparrow isn't an honor, it's a trap." And this book is just so beautiful. The sprayed edges, and then the art is really like one of a kind in here. It definitely looks like just like a little fantasy village in the middle of the woods, which is just amazing. This is about a set of 5 kingdoms on this continent called Calandra, and the gods unleashed monsters on all of these kingdoms just to kind of remind the people that like life isn't forever, you should be praying, and basically that they're insignificant. So she is, I believe, like a fake princess, not sure what that means yet. This monster hunter sails to her kingdom, and she has to marry a stranger, sign a magical treaty in blood, and send off across the continent to one of the most treacherous realms. And it says the only way to kill the monsters we fear is to become one. So I'm very excited about this one. That is the end of the books that I have physically for now. So these are all books that are coming out later in May that I'm very excited to talk to you guys about. The first one is going to be The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig, and I'm so excited for this one. I started the Shepherd King duology, but I didn't get a chance to finish the first book because I just like soft DNF'd it because I wasn't in the mood for it. But I've heard this gives the same gothic vibes, which I've been in a very gothic mood lately. And I also was watching someone's video that they mentioned that there's like a gargoyle that calls everyone Bartholomew, and I love that kind of quirky character in a more gothic, serious like fantasy novel. I just feel like it brings the lightness that we like all need in every single book, and just the comedic relief that is obviously needed as well. So this is about Sybil Delling. She's what they call a diviner or diviner, and she basically is a prophetess who in her dreams she sees these visions from these like godlike creatures, I think, that are called omens, and she can kind of like piece together things that are going to happen to people based off of her dreams. But the other diviners in her group are going missing one by one, so she turns to this really rude knight that she doesn't like, and he tries to help her figure out this mystery. And I think there might be like an evil god at play, I'm not sure, but I'm very excited. Again, I'm really excited for the gothic vibes, and just the cover of this is absolutely stunning and I can't get over it. It's giving the best vibes ever. That comes out on May 20th. I believe this next one is getting traditionally published on this date, and it's For Whom the Bell Tolls. And this one caught my attention because it's set in hell, and again, really been interested in things kind of like set in hell, more dark and gothic. That's also why I'm really excited for Catabasis. It's coming out in August by R.F. Kuang. But this also takes place in hell, but I think it's more of like a quirky, cozy fantasy take place in hell rather than, you know, something serious. So she gets to hell and she realizes it's like not like a bad place. It's more quirky, where like deities are waiting in line for coffee and fairies are kind of flitting between realms, and she realizes that the demons working at like the gate of hell need help. So she's like, I have customer service experience, so I can help you guys like figure out all your problems. And then she meets like a demon general that she has chemistry with, and there's something kind of like beyond their realm that's like threatening to impact it or destroy it. So I think they're going to find out a fix all together. This one came out on May 6th, and it was originally published in December of 2024, but it's being traditionally published in paperback in the stores on May 6th. This is the next Dungeon Crawler Carl book, and it's called Eye of the Bedlam Bride, this is number 6. I really want to get into these books. I think they seem quite comical and like I would like them. I've been liking very unserious fantasy and almost like spoofs or parodies of fantasy lately, where it's just super quirky and unserious. I love it. I'm going to read the description for this one because I don't think there's any way I can read this and summarize it without reading the entire thing to you. So this one's also being trad published, as it was previously published on Kindle Unlimited. It says, a pantheon of forgotten gods, an old grudge between a talk show host and heiress and the man they shattered along the way, a rapidly deteriorating AI system, an inconvenient tiara upon the head of a friend. It is Bedlam on the 8th floor. As management reels from the unexpected conclusion of the 7th level, the surviving crawlers stumble onto the 8th and find themselves scattered. It's a map based on Earth's final days before the collapse, where ethereal, intangible ghosts of humanity go about their lives, oblivious of the impending doom. Living amongst these ghosts are monsters based in Earth lore, legendary creatures tied to the geographical location they inhabit. Each team of crawlers is given a task: find and capture 6 of the beasts. The captured monsters will be turned into cards that can be summoned into battle again and again. The stronger, the deadlier, the better. At the end of the floor, the bad guys will also have decks, and they will have some of the most powerful cards available. So it's crucial to assemble the toughest squad possible. But like always, there is a catch. There's always a catch. As Carl and Donut know all too well, just because someone is captured, it doesn't mean they have been tamed. Her name is She Maria. She's easily the most powerful monster in their area. If they want to survive, they must capture her. She's no ordinary beast. She's intelligent. She was once married to a god who is now missing. Her special attack is known to drive one insane. They call her the Bedlam Bride. Beware, beware, beware the eye of the Bedlam Bride. So this sounds so funny. I also saw someone read the first one, and Donut is Carl's cat, and he brings them into the dungeon with him as he goes through the floors, and I think that's so funny. It's like his little companion. companion, and I always love like a cute little animal sidekick or companion. This one's being traditionally published on May 13th, so it'll match all the other covers that Barnes & Noble has published. The next one is A Curse Carved in Bone by Danielle Jensen, and this is the second one to A Fate Inked in Blood. I haven't read the first one yet, but I'm very excited to get to it. This one is just as gorgeous, and I'm not gonna explain too much because I don't want to give anything away to myself or to anyone else about the first book. I think our main character is the same. It's still Freya, and now I think she's trying to avoid a war, and then I think they're going to wind up in a war and trying to navigate that, while also I think managing the distrust of her and her husband. And that is also coming out on May 13th. This one sounds so funny. Again, one of those unserious fantasies. Is called Behooved, and it is by M. Stevenson. This is reminding me of My Lady Jane. So the entire plot of this novel is she is a noblewoman and she has chronic illness, and he is a prince, I believe, and he's heir to the throne, so she needs to marry him, but there's an assassination attempt that goes wrong, and he turns into a horse by day, I think, and he's a man by night. So she like rides away on him, and then they have to unravel this curse that makes him a horse, but they also have to save their kingdom because there's like a larger work at play. It wasn't just trying to assassinate them, they're like trying to take over whoever it was, the kingdom. So that is in trouble, so they need to figure out how to make him not a horse anymore and also save their kingdom. So this is so funny, and this reminds me of My Lady Jane. It was like a spoof of like a fantasy romance show, and it's so funny because the narrator was hysterical. They used hysterical language in My Lady Jane, and her husband also did turn into a horse. So I don't know if it's linked in any way, but it's just what it reminds me of. This comes out on May 20th. This next one is The Starving Saints by Caitlin Starling. So it takes place in this castle, and it's been under siege for like 6 months or so, and everything is getting low, so they're thinking about having to kill their own people in order to like survive. And then one day the sick are healed and all of their supplies replenish, and these divine people come, the Constant Lady and then her saints, and they have no idea how they arrived because everything's like barricaded. They don't know how they got in, but now these people are enticing them into intoxicating feasts of terrible origin, so I'm going to assume cannibalism possibly. There are 3 women that are seeing the situation for like what it is and like trying to kind of save everybody and get them out of this, and get them out of this like trance that they're almost in. So I think they're going to dip into the temptation of both these probably cannibalistic ways, and they are also attracted to each other, so it is going to be queer, which is so exciting. I always love that. And people keep saying it's like part medieval horror, part really dark fantasy, and I think those two things sound amazing together. And it's going to be very fever dreamy, which I also really enjoy a lot in books. Like I like the whole like mystical feeling of that, especially when it's going to be in a castle, so I'm very excited. That one is also coming May 20th. One that I am so excited for, and maybe the most excited for out of these, is The Devils by Joe Abercrombie, which is a new epic fantasy by him. This is coming out on May 13th, so I'm gonna go pick it up with my husband next week. I'm gonna read you the entire little synopsis because it's pretty short. Featuring a notorious band of anti-heroes on a delightfully bloody and ruckus journey, holy work sometimes requires unholy deeds. Brother Diaz has been summoned to the sacred city, where he is certain a commendation and grand holy assignment awaits him. But his new flock is made up of the unrepentant murderers, practitioners of ghastly magic, and outright monsters. The mission he is tasked with will require bloody measures from them all in order to achieve its righteous end. Elves lurk at our borders and hunger for our flesh, while greedy princes care for nothing but their own ambitions and comfort. With a hellish journey before him, it's a good thing Brother Diaz has the devils on his side. So that one sounds so exciting. Again, a dark fantasy. You guys can see what kind of mood I've been in with my fantasy/fantasy romance. I love when it's dark and twisted. I love that there's going to be like devils and like dark magic. I think that's gonna be really intriguing. And then like they said, there's elves that they're gonna have to like fight, and I hope there's like other creatures or monsters in there because I really love like creepy grotesque monsters, especially in like a fantasy. Those are the 10 most new and noteworthy books that I think are going to be worth reading that are coming out in May. I hope you guys found a new book from this video. If there are any that I missed or there are any that you've heard of that I didn't mention, please leave them down in the comments so that everyone can find a new book, hopefully. Let me know if you liked this series, because I will continue to do it for every month or every other month or every season. I really enjoyed making it because then I get to see and be caught up on the news as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, happy reading, and okay, love you, bye.